Okay, welcome back. My name is David Blissett, and in this video what we're going to do is carry on from where we left off in the previous video, where we actually set up the transitions to go from the idle pose into the zombie feeding or zombie biting pose. So as you can see, the character is literally linearly walking all the way through to the end of the idle sequence and then jumping into the zombie feeding sequence without any kind of means of being able to stop and start the actual or control the actual sequence of events. So that's what we want to be able to work on in this video. So we're going to stop the playback here now, and the very first thing is we need some kind of flag to actually work with. So what we're going to do is we have in the animator palette we have the layers and we have parameters. So let's go ahead, and on the parameters we're going to create a Boolean flag, which is a true or false flag, and we're going to say is feeding as our flag, and then here we have a series of conditions. But before we do that, let's just double click on the idle animation sequence, make sure it's looping, and then for the zombie biting sequence do the same. Both of them are looping. Okay, so from there let's have a look on the actual transitions. To do that, you select on one of these arrows. This is going from the idle to the zombie biting sequence, and what we want to do here is in the conditions list we want to say if is feeding is true, which comes up by default, and then for the transition back from the feeding sequence to the idle sequence, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, but it's the inverse. So if is false for the feeding flag. So we have the means of being able to play around with this. Now we haven't actually hooked up any controllers, like an Xbox controller or the keyboard or something like that, to be able to drive the events. So let's go ahead and just play the sequence. Okay, so here we have the idle sequence running over and over by default. What I want to do here now is click on the is feeding flag, and by setting that to true, the JSON character automatically goes into that feeding sequence. If I notice, it's going all the way to the end, and there's a reason for that. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to switch that off, and note, once we get to the actual end of the animation sequence is when it takes this flag into account. Now we don't want that. The reason this is happening is because of the exit time has exit time flag. So we're going to stop this for the moment. I'm going to switch this has exit time flag off for that transition. Select the other transition and select has exit time again. And so now, if I go ahead and play the sequence, okay, so the second I make the transition, if I click is feeding, immediately as I change the flag, the character goes from whatever state it was in back to the other state. And that's the power that we have when we use parameters to drive our animation. Now if I leave it in the is feeding state, the character literally will just carry on doing that. So as you have your game, if the character is attacking you and you don't do anything, you don't want the character to stop and start idling in front of you. You want the character to continue attacking. And that's the power of parameters. So we're going to stop the video here and pick up with the next video in just a tape. Thanks again for watching.